Hi, everybody, and welcome to Island Packet. Rob and I are here on a Saturday, as you can see. Nobody's working today, and we wanted to show you the bow section of a 349 today, as well as the motor sailor that we're just about finished with. So this is a 349 here without the deck installed, obviously, and it gives us a good look inside on kind of how the boat is built. We've got our what we call our A bulkhead here. That is a watertight bulkhead up to the points of the wires going through. There is a through hole at the very bottom, and with it in the closed position, this becomes a watertight bulkhead. With it in the open position, it does allow the water from the anchor locker to drain into the bilge, and then obviously the bilge pump pumps it overboard. So we've got a nice double anchor locker here, very deep, as far as I can know, as deep as any other boat 35-foot built out there. And then we've got room for plenty of chain. We typically would put about 300 feet of 3/8 high test chain on one side and about 300 feet of line over on the port side. You come up here to the bowsprit. We've got an aluminum backing plate for our windlass that will go on here. We use the Low Franz Tigris windlass. And then we've got Cusa board in front of that versus the legacy boats that have plywood. The Cusa board will never rot like plywood, and it will never have any delamination. After the aluminum, you notice this is G10, another piece of aluminum here, piece of aluminum, another piece of G10. For those of you who don't know what a G10 is, it's a very hard material. It's actually harder than steel or aluminum, and I've been told that they actually build bridges with G10. So we've selected the G10 in areas where you can have a piece of deck hardware bent or broken or damaged, so that if you have to replace, say, this bow pulpit on this boat 10 years from now, you'll be able to get the bolts out of the G10. Any of you who know about electrolysis and about bonding of different metals, you will testify that if you put a stainless steel boat in an aluminum backing plate, even with Lanacoat that we use, eventually it will seize together. And the only way to get it out is to drill it out, retap the hole, and then put the next size larger bolt in, which will always be slightly proud on the hardware that you're installing, say, whether it's a bowsprit foot or whether it's a stanchion. So areas where we know we're not going to typically have something bent, like a cleat or a line lead, we still use aluminum because the cost of G10 is quite high. It's probably 5, 6, 7 times more than the same size aluminum. But areas, again, where you have the bow pulpit or a stanchion, we're going to use the G10 because we're really trying to build the very best boat possible here, and for not just the original owner, but forever. And that's our big goal. So we have literally gone through and changed everything that we can in order to do that. So let's take a walk over to the new motor sailor, and we're about, I'm thinking 3-4 weeks from finishing the boat up. We had hoped to make it to the St. Petersburg Boat Show here coming up in 2 weeks, but honestly, we just won't sacrifice quality to get the boat to the show. And we won't do that to our owners. Every boat we build is pre-sold, and I'm not going to use an owner's boat in the show. That's not what I want and not what they would want. So the boat will miss the show, but you know, it's going to go out of here the very best that we can possibly build. So on the motor sailor, we've installed the bow pulpit. And of course, underneath this foot right here is G10. Underneath this foot is G10. Underneath the windlass is aluminum. Underneath the bow pulpits is G10. Excuse me, the bow rollers is G10. All right, we use Mantis bow rollers, have an adjustable piece here on top. We're able to actually secure the anchor shaft down, and then we also get the optional piece here on the bottom that comes up, and when it comes up, it actually locks it in from the bottom as well. On the motor sailor, we've raised these chain guards up so that when you have the chain coming through, you basically drop down, it locks into the link of a chain or the line on either side. We use the dual capstan Low Franz windlass, which has a solid chain gypsy on the starboard side, designed for 3/8 high test chain, and then a rope and chain gypsy on the port. We've got obviously house pipes that go through. And again, this is all aluminum up in here. Okay. We've got aluminum underneath this cleat, but we've got G10 underneath this foot for the bow rail. And then this boat being a solid rail, we don't really have stanchions per se, but you can bet that there's G10 under here as well. So the deck's been installed on the boat. And then when we put the deck down on the hull, it comes down, it's bonded with 5200, and then we either bolt it or mechanically fasten it every 6 inches. We come back with the rub rail, we mechanically fasten that, and then the same thing with the stainless striker. So you really do get a very solid hull to deck joint on all Island Packets. This motor sailor has shore power connectors on the bow and the stern as well. So whether you're parked bow first or stern first, you've got the ability to plug in easily. So that pretty much covers what we're doing here on the bow of the boat.